This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for June 30th, 7:30 p.m. This morning, Tropical Storm Arlene made landfall just south of Tampico, Mexico, and is now well inland. And notice how the system, or this was around 5:30 this morning. Notice how symmetrical the system is as it made landfall. Nice banding features all the way around it. This was very close to becoming a hurricane. It made landfall with 65-mile-per-hour winds while cruising off to the west around 10 miles an hour. Pretty slow-moving tropical storm as tropical storms go. And it's dumping a lot of rain in Mexico. I'll have some reports to pass along to you in just a minute. But the system came very close to becoming a hurricane. In fact, it may have become a hurricane briefly. The hurricane hunters were heading down there last night and early this morning, and they had mechanical problems, had to head back, so we never really got any good recon data as this made landfall. Now, in yesterday's Tropical Update video, I talked about the HWRF and the GFDL models, the battle between these two models. Now, the GFDL model is going to be replaced by the HWRF. At least that was the intentions of NOAA to do this, but the battle continues between these two models. Now, the HWRF predicted landfall this morning as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. This was from a couple of days ago, and it pretty much nailed it. Look at this. Came ashore right where we expected it to, just south of Tampico with 65-mile-per-hour winds. Now, you compare that with the GFDL model, and the GFDL model had this thing washing out just south of Tampico, right in here, as a weakening tropical storm to a tropical depression, but that did not happen. So the HWRF wins round one this hurricane season by nailing Tropical Storm Arlene. All right, here's where Arlene is right now, and the system continues to drift off to the west-southwest, and it'll be inland, dumping tons of rain in the inland areas and these mountainous regions out here. We'll monitor the reports coming out over the next several days on rainfall inland, but this is going to be a prolific rainmaker as it's a slow-moving system, and we expect that there will be a lot of flooding, and there already has been. In fact, if we look at some images here, this is from Veracruz, Mexico, from earlier today, and they had some mudslides and some flooding. They're trying to repair one area that washed out here in Veracruz, and this is a very common scene when you have very heavy amounts of rain, and this is what the type of flooding you'll see in the area. And if here is another city shot from Tampico, cars going down the road, a lot of flooding out there. But the last report that we've been able to gather at Hurricane City is 107,000 people were without power right after Tropical Storm Arlene made landfall, and about 2/3 of that's been restored as of this hour. So they've done a pretty good job restoring the power in Tampico down all the way down to Veracruz from Tropical Storm Arlene. But there's still going to be some news coming out of the area over the next several days because there has been some roads that have been washed out and some very heavy flooding in some areas. So this is not a done story as of yet. So we'll pass them along to you as the information becomes available on the front page of Hurricane City. Now here is the HurTrack program showing the closest point of approach. This was as of 11 a.m. this morning as it came closest to Tampico, 42 nautical miles south of Tampico. Here's Tampico right here. So the core came in just south of Tampico, 42 miles to the south at 11 a.m. So this makes it a direct hit from a named storm on the city of Tampico. Now, Tampico was one of my top 20 cities to be impacted this year by a named storm. So we can mark one off the list, Tampico. Right away, the first storm of the season affects one of my top 20. So we'll see if this trend continues through the remainder of the hurricane season. Now, here is the upper level winds from the GFS model showing 48 hours from now, and the aqua and green and blue areas are unfavorable for development in the Atlantic Basin. Now, when a system was as well organized as Arlene was when it made landfall, what happens is you get outflow from a high pressure aloft, and that creates northwest wind shear behind the system. So it's very difficult for something to develop right behind a strengthening tropical system. And that's what we have right now in the Bay of Campeche, strong northwesterly winds. And we have a big upper level low in the central Caribbean Sea that's causing more wind shear all the way out through the Caribbean Sea, westerly wind shear, and all the way out in the Atlantic as there's another big upper level low out in the Atlantic. So things are very unfavorable in the Atlantic. Most models are now indicating we're not going to see any development for the next several days. So things are looking good right on through the July 4th holiday weekend. We do not expect any named storms to worry about. So that's good news going after Tropical Storm Arlene. I want to keep calling this a hurricane, even though it came awful close. Now here is the animation of the current enhanced satellite image of the western Atlantic Basin. And you can see we have this big upper level low in the Caribbean Sea spinning right here, and that causes westerly wind shear, which blows the tops of thunderstorms off and does not allow systems to get organized. So that's good news for the next several days. We're not going to see any development in the Caribbean Sea or the Atlantic. So that's about it for now. We'll keep track of the damage reports coming out of Tampico, but so far it looks like minor damage caused by Tropical Storm Arlene. You can get the news links on the front page of Hurricane City. Click on Tampico next to the tracking chart. It'll give you all the localized information from Tampico and surrounding areas in the aftermath of Tropical Storm Arlene. Well, that's it for now. I'll be back with another update in a few days from now, maybe after the holiday weekend. We'll see what's going on in the tropics. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.